We're only in the third day of War of the Spark preview season, and we've already seen some of the most powerful cards designed in some time. In case you missed previous War of the Spark preview episodes, you can catch up right now by clicking the links on the screen or the first link in the description. We're blazing through this set. Today we have more Planeswalkers, new characters, outrageously beautiful artwork, an adorable doggo, and a lot more. I do hope you enjoyed this video, and if you do, remember hit that like button, helps out a lot. Gideon's Triumph is 2 mana for an instant. Target opponent sacrifices a creature that attacked or blocked this turn. If you control a Gideon Planeswalker, that player sacrifices 2 of those creatures instead? Holy nutter butter, Batman, what a bomb removal spell. This is a combat trick that will decimate opponents. Nagwar in mid-range mirror matches. This can easily take out something gigantic. It's around hexproof, indestructible, pretty much everything. Cheap, instant speed, very much like Liliana's Triumph. Edict spells at instant speed are always very good, trust me. New Planeswalker time. Teo, the Shield Mage, is 3 mana for a 5 loyalty legendary Planeswalker. You have Hexproof. You can -2 and create a 0/3 white wall creature token with Defender. I love this design. I love defensive spells. I love walls almost as much as Donald Trump. Teo granting you Hexproof is huge against a ton of decks in Standard right now, and against a lot of the new cards we've seen so far that force sacrificing. Great against discard spells, burn spells, mill effects. Teo is a really interesting walker that I think could see sideboard play. Ivory Mask is a powerful card, and Teo is, well, yeah, in a lot of ways better. For an uncommon, quite powerful, I am a huge fan. The Wanderer is 4 mana for a 5 loyalty legendary Planeswalker with no name. Cool. Prevent all combat damage that would be dealt to you and other permanents you control. You can -2 and exile target creature with power 4 or greater. So a Giant Slayer, very nice. We don't know a lot about the Wanderer right now, but we know that their identity is shrouded in mystery, and they planeswalk all over the place. I have heard theories that this is Ugin, Elspeth, the Raven Man, and Fblthp, all of which seem similarly unlikely. Power-wise, preventing non-combat damage to you and everything you control is pretty nice against burn decks. At worst, the Wanderer will end up absorbing 5 damage for you, but I still don't think that makes it good enough for constructed play. I think coming with 2 removal spells for big creatures makes it good enough for limited play easily, and that's where we'll see it. I'm excited to learn more about this Samurai Ninja Assassin Planeswalker. Fblthp the Lost is... Wait, no way, he gets a card? Okay, I'm so excited, let's read on. Fblthp the Lost is 2 mana for a 1/1 legendary creature homunculus. When Fblthp enters the battlefield, draw a card. If it entered from your library or is cast from your library, draw 2 cards instead. When Fblthp becomes the target of a spell, shuffle it into its owner's library. Yes! This is the legendary creature we've all been waiting for. He cantrips when he enters the battlefield, and if you play him from your library, you draw 2 cards. That's so good! Imagine Fblthp getting totally lost in Bolas's Citadel. Genius. Experimental Frenzy. Hilarious. This is Elvish Visionary, an admittedly good card with upside. Fblthp has upside. I'm so happy right now. I cannot contain my excitement. My boy has a card and it's so flavorful. Things get dicey, immediately runs away, immediately gets lost. I love Magic so much. Oh, and also Proteus Staff and Fblthp together in Commander. Yeah, enjoy. That's a gift for you. Davriel Rogue Shadow Mage is 3 mana for a 3 loyalty legendary Planeswalker. At the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, if that player has 1 or fewer cards in hand, Davriel deals 2 damage to them. You can -1 and target player discards a card. Ah, crap, oh no. I've seen a few discard decks running around Standard and they're seriously annoying. Davriel is going straight into those stupid things by basically bringing the rack back into Standard. I know there are a ton of you who enjoy A-Rack in Modern, you're all monsters, and I know you're gonna try building it in Standard, just son of a you know what, fine. I'll build the stupid deck. Davriel's Shadow Fugue is also in the set, forces discard and life loss, so can't say there isn't any support. Again, I'll just guess I'm making the rack in Standard. What even is my life? Eternal Taskmaster is 2 mana for a 2/3 zombie that enters the battlefield tapped. Whenever it attacks, you may pay 3 mana. If you do, return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand? Whoa, what? This is a 2 mana card? 2 mana for a 2/3 with recursion upside? I mean, sure, it enters the battlefield tapped, but who cares? You don't care about that. It recurs things. It's like Gravedigger, but all the time. It's so good. Why does this have 3 toughness? Was it not good enough as a 2/2 with upside? What a strong zombie creature. If a zombie deck does exist in Standard, this is pseudo-playable? Absolutely. The stats are simply too strong to ignore outright. Wow, what a beast. No wonder Ravnikins are having a hard time with Bolas's army. These are everywhere? Rough. Neheb Dreadhorde Champion is 2 of anything and 2 red for a 5/4 legendary creature zombie Minotaur Warrior with Trample. Now that's a mouthful. Whenever Neheb deals combat damage to a player or planeswalker, you may discard any number of cards. If you do, draw that many cards and add that much red mana. Until end of turn, you don't lose this mana as steps and phases end. This is a huge beef up from Neheb's previous iterations. He got big. 4 mana for a 5/4 with Trample is enough to make my head turn, but then he comes with 3 relevant creature types: zombie, Minotaur, and Warrior, all useful. And finally, thanks to said Trample, he'll be triggering so often. Imagine the madness value you can use with this trigger, then draw a whole new hand, add a bunch of mana, do it all over again. Neheb is honestly crazy strong, being that he's only 4 mana. I can see this alongside Rekindling Phoenix at the top of a big mono red or mono red burn deck, ditch some unnecessary lands, refuel, kill. I'm not normally a red player, but wow, beefy dude is beefy for Commander, Standard, and Limited. Zhangangu Wildcrafter is 3 mana for a 3 loyalty legendary planeswalker. Each creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it has tap to add 1 mana of any color. You can -1 and put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. Excellent fixing spell. He can come down and immediately turn one of your creatures into a buff Birds of Paradise. That's utility right there. What I find most amusing about him is that he can put a +1/+1 counter on any target creature, including your opponents, which means you can totally mess with their Terramander evolving. I find that hilarious. His main job will be to give you fixing and ramp though, which is perfectly serviceable and limited, maybe even constructed, considering Rishkar Pima Renegade was a thing. It's just a thought. Mowu Loyal Companion is 4 mana for a 3/3 legendary creature Hound with Vigilance and Trample. If one or more +1/+1 counters would be put on Mowu, that many +1/+1 counter are put on it instead. Look at the cute doggo. He's such a good boy, traveling around with his Planeswalker companion. Oh, who's a goodest boy. Oh my god. Wait. He's legendary. I can make a Doggo commander deck. I'll be right back. AFK, just bye. Vivian, Champion of the Wilds, is 3 mana for a 4 loyalty legendary planeswalker. You may cast creature spells as though they had flash. You can +1 and until your next turn, up to 1 target creature gains vigilance and reach. You can also -2 and look at the top 3 cards of your library. Exile 1 face down and put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. For as long as it remains exiled, you may look at that card and you may cast if it's a creature card. Okay, so Vivian is like Yeva, Nature's Herald, but just better. Going up allows her to pump up a blocker that can now attack with no downside, and she pseudo draws you a creature card with her -2. I really enjoy this. Her +1 has great utility against Thief of Sanity, Hydroid, Krasis, and other annoying flyers. Her -2 refuels you, and her static ability erases one of the weaknesses of creature-based decks: sorcery speed casting. Vivian is coming to win in this set. Might not seem like it, but this card has a ton of power built into it. Vivian's Arc Bow is 2 mana for a legendary artifact. You can pay X, tap it, and discard a card to look at the top X cards of your library. You may put a creature card with converted mana cost X or less from among them onto the battlefield. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. First things first, that artwork is just wow. Probably the most beautiful piece of art I've seen so far from this set. My goodness, Zach Stella just killed it with this card. Hottest of dangs. If we're talking playability, Wilderness Reclamation is a first thought. Float a bunch of mana, discard a card, then get something gigantic you can put on the battlefield immediately. It lets you card filter a lot, grabs creatures out of your probably spell-based deck. I think this has a chance at standard play. It's sort of like a fixed birthing pod, kind of. I enjoy it. Angrath, Captain of Chaos, is 2 of anything and 2 hybrid red and black mana for a 5 loyalty legendary planeswalker. Creatures you control have menace. You can -2 and amass 2. So basically you can -2 and create a 2/2 or give +2/+2 to an existing army. I don't mind this version of Angrath. I actually enjoy the menace blanket almost more than the -2 ability. Don't get me wrong, I'm all about amassing an army, but pseudo evasion on your entire team is pretty sweet, especially in a deck that's red or black, both relatively aggressive colors and limited. I think Angrath is going to be a fine limited card, but I'm not sure he's meant for constructed this time around. He's a bit clunky. Angrath's Rampage is 1 black and 1 red for a sorcery. Choose 1. Target player sacrifices an artifact. Target player sacrifices a creature. Target player sacrifices a planeswalker. Hey, finally a way to get rid of the Immortal Sun. Anyways, this is a heckin' versatile card, basically destroying all the things I'm going to be afraid of in both limited and constructed. Looking at slower Grixis decks or other control variants that run red and black, the Rampage could be a solid option against early walkers or artifacts like Treasure Map and Sorcerer's Spyglass. It's something to think about. Versatility often translates to power. Cruel Celebrant is 1 white and 1 black for a 1/2 vampire. Whenever the Celebrant or another creature or planeswalker you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. Another Aristocrat card for Commander. I wanted Aristocrat/vampires to be a thing in Standard for so long with all the support that Ixalan block brought, but it never really happened. Cruel Celebrant might be able to change that. 2 mana is the perfect cost for this card. You can fit it into a deck with some vampire token producers, some sack outlets, the whole 9 yards. Maybe we can actually make something happen, or put together an Obzan Sapperling deck with Poison Tip Archer and the Celebrant. I'll work on it. Suffice it to say, I enjoy a good Aristocrat strategy. Summit Tyrant Smasher is 2 of anything and 2 hybrid red and green mana for a 5 loyalty legendary planeswalker. Creatures you control have haste. You can -1 and target creature gets +2/+1 and gains haste until end of turn, scry 1. Giving something double haste sounds like a lot of fun. I'm pretty sure the only reason Summit grants haste on top of haste is in case she dies before combat. I can't think of another reason why they would layer haste onto an ability onto a card that already grants haste. Anyways, this is like a 5-time repeatable pump spell that also lets you scry, which to me is big deal in our red and green card. I think it's suited for limited for sure, but giving haste to everything and being able to card filter, it's not so bad for a planeswalker doing an impression of an enchantment. Summit Sprint is 1 red mana for an instant. Target creature gets +2/+1 and gains haste until end of turn, scry 1. So basically here's a combat trick version of Summit's -1 ability, which in itself is a pretty decent combat trick at common. But the reason I'm talking about this card is the flavor text quote. Summit's war was intensely personal. Every hour she faced enemies she once loved as friends, and horrors she once revered as gods. This means we're getting reanimated gods, right? Like Amonkhet gods, since Summit came from Amonkhet. Oh boy, things are about to get insane. I'm so excited and anxious. There's so much happening in this set, it's really difficult to pick one thing to be excited about. So much is going on. I need to know what you're thinking about today's preview. Seriously, what caught your eye? What do you want to build? What are your thoughts on everything? Hit me with everything you got, because I need friends, so please talk to me. Make sure to stay tuned to the channel for the latest and most reliable War of the Spark spoiler information you could ever need. And as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. This video is brought to you in part by TCGplayer.com. War of the Spark booster boxes are available for pre-order right this second. At only $97 each, already cheaper than a ton of other online retailers and stores. If you don't have a local game store or yours is charging way too much, I got you back right here. Just click the link on the screen, get boxes for great prices, delivered right to your door on release, and it'll help the channel out big time. Just give it a little click for me. Enjoy!